Welcome to Daily Stoic Practice. Today we're diving into a new lesson from Stoicism. Don't force anything on your life. In today's modern life, it seems that we're always caught in an unending flow of work, responsibilities, and social expectations. Every day we face the pressure to do more, to achieve more, and to meet all the standards that society sets for us. We try to control everything, from work and finances to relationships and even our emotions. But often, the harder we try to hold on to everything, the more things seem to slip out of our grasp. This leaves us feeling frustrated, exhausted, and sometimes burdened by life. Think about the times when you've given everything you had, poured your heart and soul into a job or a relationship. Yet the more you tried to control it, the more complex and unmanageable things became. Have you ever asked yourself, why, even when I give my all, does everything still go wrong? Perhaps it's because we're trying to force life into working in ways it simply can't. That's when we need to turn to Stoic philosophy. Rather than forcing things, sometimes letting go is the true key to success and happiness. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means we can't control everything that happens around us, but we can always control how we respond to it. So take a moment and ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped trying to control everything and instead allowed life to flow naturally? Perhaps things would become easier with less pressure. And in that space, new doors and new opportunities may naturally open. Today, we will explore 5 principles from Stoic philosophy. Principles that will help you live a life without forcing or stressing, but one where things unfold naturally, as they are meant to. These principles won't just relieve the pressure, they may also open up new paths and opportunities you never thought possible. Let's begin this journey of discovery together to make life more meaningful and peaceful. Principle 1. Holding on to harmful things brings more suffering. We've all had moments when we held on tightly to things that were no longer good for us. It might be a toxic relationship, a job that no longer brings joy, or even the negative thoughts that run through our minds each day. We think that if we just try a little harder, everything will be okay. Or at least we won't have to face the reality that it no longer fits. But in truth, the longer we hold on, the more we suffer. Holding on to what no longer serves us doesn't just prolong the pain, it stops us from moving forward. It's like a heavy shadow that weighs on our soul, blinding us to new opportunities and dulling our hope for a better future. Whether it's a toxic relationship, an unfulfilling job, or repetitive negative thoughts, these are major obstacles to happiness and personal growth. According to Stoicism, true resilience isn't about enduring something forever. It's about knowing when to let go. The philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This reminds us that in many cases, it's not the situation itself that causes suffering, but our choice to keep holding on to something that has lost its value. Strength lies not in how long you can endure, but in your ability to face reality and say goodbye when necessary. Think about times in your life when you've tried to hold on to something, even when you knew it no longer made you happy. Perhaps it was a relationship you tried to fix, even though both of you had grown apart. Or maybe it was a job that left you feeling drained, but you stayed because you were afraid of not finding something better. These situations only trap you in a cycle of dissatisfaction and anxiety. One of the great Stoic philosophers, Seneca, once said, "Suffering won't last forever unless you keep it alive." This means that pain doesn't always come from the outside. Sometimes we're the ones keeping it around, afraid to let go. Take the story of Emma, a talented designer. She spent years pouring her heart and soul into developing a product line that she truly believed would be a massive success. She invested not only her efforts, but also her hopes and dreams into every detail of the project, from the concept and design to the marketing strategy. Initially, everything seemed promising, with positive feedback from close contacts and partners. But after launching, Emma's product didn't receive the response she had hoped for. The feedback was lukewarm, and sales were much lower than expected. She constantly revised her strategies, tweaked the designs, and made improvements, hoping to turn things around. But no matter how hard she worked, nothing seemed to change. Emma gradually began to feel drained. The joy she once found in her work was replaced with a heavy sense of frustration. Every day became a battle to maintain faith in a project she had once loved. There came a point where Emma had to ask herself, am I making a mistake? Am I holding on to something that no longer fits? But at the same time, she feared that letting go would mean she had failed. She feared that all the effort she had put in would be wasted. However, after many sleepless nights and countless internal conversations, Emma realized something important. She could no longer force herself to cling to something just because she didn't want to face the truth. And so, Emma made the hardest decision of her career. She let go of the project she had poured everything into. It wasn't easy, but she knew it was necessary. By letting go, she freed herself from the emotional burden and opened up space for new possibilities. After walking away from the project, she began experimenting with new ideas. She shifted her focus to smaller projects that were more aligned with current market trends and customer preferences. Slowly, she rediscovered her passion and creativity. Her new products were warmly received and success returned, not only financially, but also emotionally. Emma's story shows us that sometimes letting go isn't failure. It's a way to make room for something fresh and positive. Holding on to what no longer fits only traps us in pain and disappointment. On the other hand, when we're brave enough to let go, we feel lighter and more open to new opportunities. As Seneca once said, nothing confuses us more than chasing after what is lost. Letting go isn't a sign of weakness or defeat. It's an expression of strength and wisdom. The key is recognizing when something no longer adds value to our lives and having the courage to release it. When we do this, we free ourselves from pain and open the door for better things to come. Remember, sometimes letting go isn't about failing, but about making space for something new and positive. We can't keep holding on to things that no longer fit and expect life to change. Change begins when we let go and embrace what's ahead. This brings us to our next principle, letting go of the fear that you will never be happy again. Principle 2. Let go of the fear that you will never be happy again. One of the most frightening feelings is the fear that happiness will never return. We fear that the joy and satisfaction we once had will never come back, that the best days are behind us. This fear isn't just a fleeting emotion. It can become a powerful force, pulling us into anxiety and a lack of control. In those moments, we get trapped in regret over the past and fear of the future, forgetting about the present, where the real opportunity for happiness exists. Stoic philosophy teaches us that fear isn't an enemy to fight, but something we need to understand and accept. Instead of letting fear dictate our actions, we're encouraged to face it calmly and wisely. The truth is, everything can change, and happiness doesn't depend solely on outside circumstances or the past. Happiness isn't a fixed destination. It can evolve and grow over time if we know how to accept reality and open our hearts to what's coming next. One of the famous Stoic philosophers, Epictetus, said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." This means that fear doesn't come from external reality, but from how we perceive and respond to it. We build barriers for ourselves when we believe that happiness only comes from the past, or that life no longer has anything to offer. Let me tell you a story about my friend John. John was living with his long-term partner. In the beginning, John and his partner were very happy together. They had long conversations, shared laughter, and seemed to understand each other deeply. But as time passed, as with many things, the relationship began to change. The conversations grew shorter and sometimes even tense. Both of them realized that no matter how much they tried, the connection had faded. Instead of finding the happiness they once shared, both felt drained and unfulfilled. What kept them together wasn't love anymore, it was fear. They were both afraid that if they broke up, they'd never find happiness again. They feared that the loneliness waiting ahead would be worse than the situation they were in, and that fear kept them holding onto a relationship that was no longer right for them. Rather than facing the truth that the relationship no longer met their emotional needs, John and his partner clung to fear. It was like John was holding on to a damaged boat, afraid there wouldn't be another boat to save him. But the truth was, the longer they held on, the deeper they sank into frustration and exhaustion. When fear takes over, it narrows our view of life, making it impossible to see the new opportunities and possibilities that await. One of Marcus Aurelius's most famous quotes says, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This means happiness doesn't come from the past or from the circumstances around you, but from how you think and perceive life. Only when John changed his thinking and let go of the fear of losing happiness could he broaden his perspective and see new opportunities. Let's return to John's story. After many arguments and attempts to repair their relationship with no success, they finally sat down and faced reality. They realized that it wasn't that love had disappeared. It was that life had simply taken them in different directions. Both had grown in different ways, and neither was at fault. Instead of trying to hold on to something that no longer fit, they chose to let go. The decision wasn't easy, but it brought freedom to both of them. Remarkably, when they accepted reality and let go of fear, they opened a new door to happiness. Not long after their breakup, both found new relationships that suited them better at this stage of life. Connection, love, and happiness returned. But this time, it wasn't the result of holding on to the past, but of bravely embracing change. John's story is a clear example of letting go of the fear of loss and unhappiness. When we dare to let go and refuse to let fear control us, life opens up to new, positive things. John not only found happiness, but also peace of mind when he no longer had to battle with constant worry. Remember, fear of losing happiness only blinds us to new opportunities. When we dare to let go of that fear, we'll see that life is broader and better things are waiting. This leads us to the next principle: letting go of things that aren't meant for you. Principle 3. Let go of things that aren't meant for you. We often chase after things we think are worthwhile or important, whether it's a dream job, a relationship, or a project we've poured our heart into. But not everything we pursue is truly meant for us. Sometimes, no matter how much effort and determination we put in, things don't work out or don't bring the results we expect. Accepting this isn't always easy. After months or even years of dedication and sacrifice, letting go feels like a difficult decision. But sometimes, letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing what's right for you, something that's more meaningful, practical, and aligned with your personal journey. Stoic philosophy constantly reminds us that not everything in this world belongs to us, and that's completely normal. It's not because we aren't good enough or didn't try hard enough. Sometimes things simply aren't meant to be. Wisdom isn't about forcing something to happen, but about knowing when to let go so we can continue moving forward. This not only helps us maintain peace of mind, but also opens the door to new opportunities, things that truly belong to us. As Marcus Aurelius said, we must learn to let go of what isn't ours, no matter how beautiful or appealing it may seem, to make room for what is truly important, for what belongs to us. This deep message from Stoic philosophy reminds us that not every journey leads to success, and letting go of what doesn't fit can help us discover new values and worthy goals. An example that clearly illustrates this is the story of Anna, a young and ambitious entrepreneur. Anna was always full of energy and creativity. From a young age, she dreamed of starting her own business and building her brand. After years of working and gaining experience, she decided to launch her first business venture, a fashion line she believed would make a huge impact in the market. She invested all her passion and resources into the project, from product development to marketing and design. Every small detail was carefully considered, with high hopes that her product would dominate the market. At first, everything looked promising. The feedback from early customers and partners was very positive. Anna was confident that she had a successful project on her hands. But after a few months, things started to slow down. Sales didn't meet expectations, and market feedback was no longer as positive. Despite trying various new strategies and changing her direction, the results didn't improve. Anna found herself increasingly stressed and anxious. She didn't want to give up because she had invested so much effort and belief in the project. However, after many sleepless nights and asking herself, "Is this really the right thing to pursue?" Anna realized that despite all her efforts, the project no longer aligned with market trends. It was time for her to move on to a new journey. Letting go wasn't easy. It meant not only abandoning the project, but also the passion and expectations she had placed in it. But Anna understood that continuing to hold on to something that no longer added value would only leave her exhausted and drain her precious resources. In the end, Anna made the difficult but wise decision to let go of the project and shift her focus to a field she was more passionate about: health and wellness. Interestingly, after only a short time, she started to feel her creativity and passion return. This time, she chose a path that aligned better with her abilities and desires, and soon enough her new efforts brought unexpected success. She found fulfillment not just financially, but more importantly, emotionally. She felt free as she no longer tied herself to a specific outcome she couldn't control. Anna's story is a clear example of how letting go of what isn't meant for us can lead us to the right path. Sometimes letting go isn't about abandoning dreams. It's about reevaluating, adjusting goals, and moving towards something better and more fitting. It's like cleaning a room. When you remove things that are no longer useful, you make space for something new and positive. Accepting that not everything is meant for us not only brings relief, but also gives us a clearer view of what truly matters in life. Letting go isn't an admission of failure, but a sign of wisdom and adaptability. When we have the courage to let go of what no longer fits, we make it easier to move toward better things. And this leads us to the next principle: accepting the truth, no matter how hard it is. Because in life, facing reality, even when it's harsh, is essential for moving forward with strength and resilience. Principle 4. Accept the truth, no matter how hard it is. There are times when the truth is not easy to face. Sometimes it comes to us in the darkest moments, when all efforts have failed to bring the desired result. And our natural response is often to reject it. This is not uncommon. People tend to seek comfort in illusions, convincing themselves that things will get better without having to make any changes. But this only prolongs the suffering. The truth is often uncomfortable. It could mean admitting that a relationship is no longer what it once was, that a job we once loved no longer brings satisfaction, or that the goals we're pursuing no longer fit our current situation. However, refusing to face the truth doesn't change reality. In fact, it only makes things worse. Hesitation and self-deception can prolong the pain and prevent us from finding peace. Stoicism teaches us that facing reality is the first and most important step in overcoming challenges and suffering. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." This means that life's difficulties only become problems when we refuse to accept them and are unwilling to confront them. It's in the hardest moments, when we face reality without avoidance, that we can find freedom and personal growth. Imagine you're working in an environment you once loved. In the beginning, you were full of energy and enthusiasm, feeling like an essential part of the team. Every project you worked on brought you joy and motivation. But over time, things began to change. Your contributions no longer seemed to be recognized like they were before. Your colleagues and superiors no longer paid attention to your ideas. You started to feel out of place and unmotivated. This is exactly what happened to Derek, an enthusiastic IT professional. Derek had once been a leader in many of the company's major projects, contributing significantly to its success. But over time, his role became less prominent. Despite doubling his efforts to prove his value, nothing improved. The projects Derek poured his heart into were no longer appreciated. His colleagues and superiors stopped paying attention to what he was doing. Derek started to feel that his efforts were going unnoticed. Derek knew that the truth was becoming clear. The job he once loved and took pride in was no longer a good fit for him, but accepting this was difficult. How could someone give up on what they had once considered their dream career? He tried to convince himself that things would change, that if he worked harder, everything would go back to how it was. But the more he tried, the more disappointed he became. Finally, Derek had to face the reality that this environment was no longer the right place for him. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The truth that you refuse to accept doesn't disappear. It only becomes more unbearable." This advice emphasizes that denying the truth doesn't change it. It only adds to the pain and disappointment. Realizing this, Derek made the courageous decision that not everyone would dare to make. He chose to leave the job he once loved and search for a new environment where he could be recognized and grow. It wasn't an easy decision. It's hard to walk away from something you've devoted your youth, your passion, and your trust to. But Derek realized that if he kept holding on to the past, he would never move forward. When Derek decided to leave, he didn't just find peace of mind, he opened new doors for himself. After only a short time, he found a new job at a different company where his talents were recognized. Derek not only felt more comfortable in his new work environment, but also realized that accepting reality had given him the strength to find a new path, a path that offered him more opportunities for growth. Derek's story clearly illustrates that facing and accepting the truth, no matter how difficult, is the crucial step to breaking free from challenges and finding a new path. Sometimes we need to let go of things that no longer fit and accept that they no longer hold the same value as they once did. This isn't about giving up, it's about maturing. It helps us see more clearly the direction we should take and opens up new opportunities. Accepting reality doesn't just free us from suffering, it brings peace and a deeper understanding of ourselves. When we dare to face and accept reality, we find that the path ahead becomes clearer and that better things are waiting for us. This brings us to our final principle: when one door closes, another opens. We can't predict the future, but we can trust that there will always be new opportunities waiting for us, as long as we're willing to let go of the past and move forward. Principle 5. When one door closes, another opens. When we face unexpected events like loss or failure, our first instinct is often one of disappointment and regret. It's easy to fall into negative thinking, blaming ourselves and feeling as though everything is over. This is when we forget that every ending is also a new beginning. This is an unchanging truth. No matter which door closes, there are always other doors waiting, if we remain calm and strong enough to recognize them. Stoic philosophy teaches that we shouldn't regret the past or hold on to what's gone. When something ends, it's not the final stop. It may actually be a preparation for something greater, a better opportunity that we hadn't even imagined. However, in order to step through the new door, we need to let go of what belongs to the past. Regret and stubbornness are barriers that prevent us from seeing the opportunities and light ahead. We often fear what's unknown and uncertain. The future can seem unclear and unsafe, but it's important to remember that every ending is simply a natural part of life's cycle. Only when we embrace transitions can we open our hearts to new things. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor and philosopher, once said, "Instead of complaining that good things have passed, be grateful that they ever existed." There's great wisdom in this quote, reminding us that everything has its time and place. And when something ends, the important thing is to appreciate and treasure the journey while preparing for what comes next. The story of Bernie Marcus is a clear example of how, when one door closes, another opens. Bernie Marcus was once an outstanding manager at a large company. He worked hard for over 20 years, believing his career was stable and secure. Bernie loved his job, feeling not only fulfilled in his work but also proud of his contributions. However, one ordinary day, Bernie received shocking news. He was fired. Despite all the effort and dedication he had given the company, this was a devastating blow. Bernie felt as if everything had collapsed around him. At first, like many others facing a major failure, Bernie fell into disappointment, wondering what had gone wrong. He blamed himself, questioning if he had made any mistakes, sinking deeper into sadness. But instead of staying stuck in regret, Bernie chose to stand up and look forward. He realized that losing his job wasn't the end of his career. It was just the closing of one chapter, and he could turn this into an opportunity to start something new. Not long after leaving the company, Bernie reconnected with his old friend, Arthur Blank, another former manager who had also been fired. Both of them were dissatisfied with the current retail system and began brainstorming ideas for a new business. With passion and endless creativity, they founded Home Depot, a store specializing in tools and building materials. In the beginning, no one could be sure if the company would succeed. But thanks to their persistence and vision, Home Depot quickly became one of the largest retail chains in the world. Today, Home Depot is not only a globally renowned brand, but also a powerful example that when one door closes, other doors will always open. If Bernie Marcus hadn't been willing to accept the loss of the job he once loved, he might never have had the opportunity to create such a successful business. Failure is just part of the journey, and sometimes it's these very failures that offer the chance for greater growth and success in the future. Epictetus once said, "Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, want them to happen as they do, and you will find peace." This quote reminds us that instead of trying to change the past or control what's beyond our power, we should accept things as they naturally unfold and look toward the future with optimism and trust in new opportunities. Bernie Marcus's story is also a reminder that no failure is final. Every failure carries the potential for a new beginning, if we are willing to face it and not let fear hold us back. We can't control everything that happens, but we can always control how we respond to those events. When one door closes, it doesn't mean everything has ended. On the contrary, it may be a sign of a new beginning, an opportunity to start fresh and achieve even greater things. No one can predict the future, but one thing is certain: the future always brings new opportunities. Each closed door isn't an ending, but an invitation to begin a new journey. The ability to overcome challenges and learn from failure isn't easy, but it's necessary for us to grow and succeed. When faced with failure or loss, the most important thing is not to let yourself sink into regret and worry. Remember, no matter which door closes, new opportunities are always waiting just ahead. True strength doesn't lie in how well you face adversity, but in your ability to stand up after each setback and keep moving forward. Challenges aren't just lessons. They're opportunities for us to discover our hidden potential and achieve things we never thought possible. The end of one chapter is never the final stop. It's just the beginning of a new journey, a new chapter in life. Always believe that when one door closes, other doors will open, bringing with them new opportunities and challenges, things that may lead you to success and happiness you never imagined. Looking back on what we've explored, we see that life is a series of choices and decisions. Sometimes what we think is right doesn't bring the desired results. And sometimes the best thing we can do is to let go. Not because we're weak or because we failed, but because letting go opens up new paths, a chance to find what truly fits and is meaningful. The principles of Stoic philosophy teach us that by not forcing ourselves into predefined molds or trying to control everything beyond our reach, we can find true peace and happiness. From holding on to harmful things, fearing that happiness will never return, to accepting difficult truths, each principle offers a lesson in opening up and being ready to embrace change. Sometimes letting one door close is the best thing we can do for ourselves. And when we're ready for change, new doors will open, guiding us to new opportunities and unexpected success. Life is always in motion, and only when we stop trying to control everything can we truly live and enjoy what it has to offer. What about you? Is there something in your life that you're trying to control? Something you know you should let go of but haven't yet? Take some time to reflect and ask yourself, what would happen if I let things unfold naturally? You may find that instead of fighting the current, learning to let go may bring the peace you've been seeking. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with someone who you think would be inspired by Stoic philosophy. Also, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future videos. Let's build a community of learning and practicing Stoicism, where everyone can find peace and the right direction for their lives. Let Stoic philosophy be the guiding star that helps you face every challenge with calmness and resilience. And remember, you don't have to force anything. Sometimes letting go is the key to a peaceful and meaningful life.